What's worse than starving in a bunker? Starving while slowly losing your mind. Isolation rot isn't when your body shuts down. It's when your brain throws a party without you, and all the guests are imaginary. The obvious fix? Keep yourself busy. Read, write, whittle a spear out of boredom. But here's the problem. In isolation, time isn't the only thing that gets killed. Let me explain what actually happens in your brain when you're alone too long. Humans evolved as social creatures. Your brain literally requires social input to function correctly. When that input disappears, your prefrontal cortex starts misfiring like a broken radio searching for a signal. After just 72 hours of complete isolation, your brain begins experiencing what psychologists call perceptual distortions. You start seeing patterns that aren't there, hearing sounds in silence, and filling in the gaps with whatever your subconscious decides to cook up. And trust me, your subconscious has terrible taste in house guests. The hippocampus, that's your memory center, starts deteriorating. Time perception breaks down. Was that yesterday? Last week? 5 minutes ago? Your brain stops caring about the difference. In timeline 822G, a survivor thought he'd been underground for 3 months. It had been 9 days. In timeline 411A, a survivor kept a diary to stay sane. Smart move, right? Wrong. By week 6, the entries stopped being words and started being scratched symbols. We found that diary. The symbols weren't random, they were repeating patterns, like he was trying to communicate with something. Or worse, something was trying to communicate through him. The last entry was just one word, written 127 times. Listen. We never found out what he was listening to, probably because we were smart enough not to stay in that bunker long enough to hear it. Here's what most people don't understand. It's not just loneliness that breaks you. It's sensory deprivation. Your brain needs input, sights, sounds, smells, textures. Without them, it starts creating its own. In timeline 663F, a bunker dweller swore he heard an orchestra outside his door. Every night at midnight, playing a symphony that didn't exist. He described it in perfect detail. Violins, cellos, a haunting piano melody. He opened the door once to catch them and never came back inside. We found him 3 months later, sitting cross-legged in the dirt, conducting an empty field. He was still humming the symphony. So the solution is structure. Daily routines, mental exercises, even fake social interaction. Wake up at the same time. Eat at the same time. Exercise at the same time. Your brain craves patterns, so give it some. In timeline 97C, one survivor gave names to every canned bean in his shelter. Mr. Pinto, Lady Lima, Sergeant Kidney. Great companionship. Until he ate his best friend, Mr. Pinto. He held a funeral, then ate the mourners. The psychological decline was rapid. Your circadian rhythm, that's your internal clock, regulates everything from sleep to mood to sanity. Without natural light, it falls apart. You stop sleeping properly, your body stops producing serotonin, and depression sets in like mold on bread. If you're in a bunker, you need a light source that mimics daylight. 12 hours on, 12 hours off, minimum. Use timers if you have them. In timeline 234B, a survivor kept his lights on 24/7 because he was afraid of the dark. After 2 weeks, he stopped sleeping entirely. After 3, he stopped making sense. After 4, he stopped being findable. Exercise isn't just about staying fit. It's about staying human. Physical activity releases endorphins, reduces stress hormones, and gives your brain something to focus on besides the fact that you're alone in a concrete box. Push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, doesn't matter. Just move. In timeline 507D, a survivor did nothing but lie on a cot for 6 weeks. When we opened the bunker, he'd forgotten how to stand. His muscles had atrophied, sure, but worse, his brain had forgotten the neural pathways for walking. He just stared at his legs like they belonged to someone else. At the Time Traveler's Survival University, Dr. Fallout taught us the real danger isn't boredom, it's forgetting what's real. The human mind will create reality to fill the void. You'll start having conversations with yourself, then responding as different people, then forgetting which one is actually you. Even I started teaching my shadows algebra after 3 weeks alone in timeline 901X. They were terrible students, but at least they showed up. I gave them names. Shadow 1 was a quick learner. Shadow 2 kept asking stupid questions. By week 4, I was arguing with them about the Pythagorean theorem. By week 5, they were winning the arguments. That's when I knew I had a problem. Not when I started talking to shadows, when the shadows started making better points than me.
Keep your brain engaged with actual tasks. Puzzles, math problems, memory exercises. Write stories, even if they're terrible. Draw pictures, even if you can't draw. Knot tying, map making. Your brain needs new information to process. In Timeline 448C, a survivor memorized every item in his bunker. Serial numbers, dimensions, weight estimates. He created an entire mental catalog. It kept him sane for 8 months. Then he ran out of things to memorize, and his brain turned inward, started cataloging his own thoughts, then cataloging the catalog. Then, well, recursion is a hell of a drug. Mark every day, scratch it on the wall, write it in a journal, tie knots in a rope. Sounds simple, but it's critical. When time stops having meaning, you stop having a reason to keep going. And here's the dark part. Don't just mark days, mark reasons. Write down why you're surviving. Family names, places you want to see again, meals you want to eat. Because when isolation rot really sets in, you forget why you're even trying. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. All the structure and exercise and mental games in the world can't replace human connection. Your brain doesn't just want social interaction. It needs it like it needs oxygen. Without it, you start manufacturing it. That's when the hallucinations become preferable to reality. That's when the voices in your head become your only friends. That's when you start choosing the comfortable lies over the uncomfortable truth that you're utterly, completely alone. In Timeline 309H, a survivor lasted 11 months alone. We found recordings she made, audio logs. For the first month, normal updates. Second month, talking to herself. Third month, answering herself in different voices. By month 6, she had created an entire family. Names, personalities, backstories. By month 11, she was having arguments with them. The last recording was her crying, apologizing to her imaginary daughter for not being a better mother. So here's the actual survival guide. Structure, light exposure, and marking time. Play games, ration meals, exercise daily. Keep a consistent sleep schedule. Challenge your brain with new tasks. Write down your memories before you forget them. Don't trust the shadows, don't eat your bean friends, and for the love of the timelines, never start writing your memoir in bodily fluids. That's not creative expression. That's a cry for help your future self will regret.
And look, let's be honest. Even with all these strategies, isolation for extended periods will change you. The person who goes into the bunker isn't the same person who comes out. That's not failure. That's just physics. Your brain adapts to survive, even if those adaptations make you weird. I once spent 4 months alone in a fallout shelter in Timeline 643K. When I finally got out, I couldn't handle crowds. Too much noise, too many faces, too much input after so much nothing. It took me 3 weeks to remember how to make eye contact without feeling like my skull was being scraped from the inside.
So yeah, isolation rot doesn't kill your body first. It kills your sanity. Survive long enough alone and you won't even recognize the thing looking back at you in the mirror. The face will be yours, but the eyes? The eyes will belong to someone who lived too long inside their own head. Stick around, because some timelines prove losing your mind is just the appetizer. Until then, keep the lights on, mark your days, and if your shadow starts talking back, maybe it's time to take a very long walk.